We continue through this Easter Monday. Mark Oppel, thanks for joining us. Whether watching RFD-TV, a lot of folks tuning in on Rural Radio, channel 147 on Sirius XM. Let's go back to our friends from Allendale. Jim McCormick joining me now to keep us an update here of what's going on in these markets on this Easter Monday. Jim, happy Monday to you.
You the same, Mark. Thank you. It's a beautiful day here in northern Illinois.
Yeah, how about that? Yeah, give us we talked to some friends in Champaign area earlier today, Morton, Illinois. So they were talking about some corn and maybe some beans being planted here late last week.
We are hearing some plantings. They're looking for the planting progress today, show about 8% planted across the country. That'd be right in line with a 5-year average. So there is some stuff getting in. I have some customers out in Nebraska that have got about half the crop in already, believe it or not.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're just showing, unfortunately, some severe weather south of Omaha here during the Easter weekend. Talk about the corn trade. Is that what we're seeing now in corn at or near lows of the day now as we work through this hour?
Well, yeah, I think a little bit is just we didn't get the pop. I think a lot of people thought the wet weather might give us a pop coming out of the 3-day weekend. When that didn't materialize, I think we're booking a little bit of profits. So the wheat market's under some pressure also, and I think that is spilling into the corn market as well.
Yeah, looking at that, well, let's look at new crop December corn, if we might. Down there below the 390 level at its low, just above that now, down 4 1/4. A live quote there, just around 390 a bushel. Where might be some support, or are we already at there, 389, 388 on December?
I think you're looking right. I think you've got the numbers right there. That 88, 89 zone, you're going to find a little bit of support. It could dip a little bit lower than that. But the fact of the matter is we have a pretty wet forecast. We had some rain coming across northern Illinois over the weekend. Our forecasters are pretty much showing rain off and on for the next 10 days. The GFS model's talking some rain. So I would think you're going to find some fundamental support, technical support, right around this range. And
then looking at soybeans, again, so we're about 4.5 lower in corn. Now we are lower in soybeans here as well, some at or near lows of the session in beans, not only about a penny and a half, but we are lower.
Well, essentially what happened to the beans were finding support earlier in the day following the bean oil higher, but the NOPA crush just came out here about 15 minutes ago, and it was disappointing. It came in at about 153 million bushels, and the trade was hoping for closer to about 150, just shy of 157. So didn't crush as many beans in March as we thought, and that trade's reflecting that right now.
Very good. So there was new information there as well. Now the wheat have been the weakest, been the weakest of all, 6 to 7 lower in Chicago, even more Kansas City is 7 to 8 lower at last look, and we're looking at that right now. Wheat, talk about that wheat complex, Jim.
Well, right now, you're pretty much, the funds are short wheat. They kind of bounced out of it a little bit last week. It looks like they're putting them right back on. The crop looks like it's in pretty good condition. We continue to get moisture, so, we're bracing for a very big wheat crop. Even though plantings are at record lows, looks like the yield's going to offset it somewhat.
And then, but we want to get your thoughts real quick. Minneapolis trade is lower, but not nearly, only about a penny and a half lower in that northern belt. Anything there to share?
I think what they're looking at there is just a little bit. We got to get this spring wheat planted. They're looking for the crop to be about 14% planted compared to about 5% last week. So the market's just holding a little bit of weather premium in until we get this spring wheat crop planted. That's what's holding the Minneapolis exchange up a little bit.
I'm going to get a lot colder, or at least cooler, later this week and that northern belt as well. Jim will take a break. Jim McCormick with us from Allendale. We'll take a break, come back, and keep him working, looking at the livestock trade. We continue on this Easter Monday after this. And 20 minutes after the hour, time for your livestock update. Again, we go back to our friends at Allendale, and Jim McCormick joining us to take a look at the beef and pork complex here. Let's go to the futures. Jim, get your thoughts here. We take a look at the live cattle futures higher here. Now, some of their at or near highs of the day here, over $1 advance for April and $1 higher in June.
Yeah, they're plowing higher. I mean, what's feeding this right now, Mark, is I think it's the funds. They like owning cattle, it looks like. They're long a little over 123,000 contracts as of the CFTC report on Friday. They added about 2,300 last week, and it looks like they just want to continue to fuel that. They're buying more today. We're making new contract highs. Open interest is increasing, and, that's a sign of a bull market right now.
So, like we talked about where support might be in the grain trade, okay, we moved this June up to 116. We were only 10 points away at the high. We're not too far from that now. 117, 118, the next stop up.
Those are the targets a lot of guys are looking at. That's right around that 118 level as they try to converge this June and kind of match it up with the cash. Cash last week traded between that 128 and 130. So a guy looking at June cattle at 116 looks still kind of cheap compared to where the cash is at.
I'll hit the numbers here more specifically, updating here after we get Jim's comments here in the hog trade. Lean hogs under pressure here on the day and have been basically from the open, about 40, 60 points lower now. Talk about those April or the May or June hogs, below $72 at a time. They're still very close to that right now.
Well, that's it. I mean, right now the hogs continue to pretty much deal with just an oversupply of the market right now. And, they're trying to compete a little bit with the cattle market. As the cattle goes up, they're selling the hogs. You see a lot of that interspreading. I think that's what's going on today specifically.
I'll get the numbers here. Jim, thanks for the time. As always, good to talk to you, and we look forward to keeping in touch.
Thank you. You have a good day.
You too. Jim McCormick from Allendale joining us here looking at the grain and then the livestock trade. As promised, here are the futures updated here, live cattle, feeder cattle, and hog futures. We'll hopefully have an update here on the beef and pork cutouts as well. But here are the futures numbers. April live cattle up $1.08. Now $1.03. Getting live quotes here. We're up $1.03. So this is live, 126.40. June cattle up 92 points, 115.62. We're watching that. They were just 10 points away from 116 at their high at 115.90 here within the last hour. We'll see where June might end up here on the day. As Jim McCormick mentioned, could see 117, 118, not out of the question now with the strength in these live cattle futures. How about feeder cattle? Bill, they've been even stronger, and they are continuing that way. Feeder cattle for April up $1.22, certainly very important in these auction markets going on today. 139.02, 139.02 on those April. May more actively traded over $1.40 now, 140.18 is the quote now for May. Quite a spread there as they went down to 138.68 for their low. Now over 140 at 140.18, up $1.78. August feeder cattle up over $2 now at 142.30, and that's not too far, about 15 points or so from their high of the day. We have a beef cutout here. Let's check the updated midday numbers, and we do see the choice up $1.44. So now we are over 213.5 on the choice right now. 213.5. We'll see. We go back to at least the early March, I think, before since we've been up at that level. Select cuts up $1.58 here at 201.06. So again, that's certainly not going to hurt the cattle trade post Easter holiday. Over to the lean hog complex, an oversupply in here, as Jim McCormick talked about, and that keeping pressure here with the April hogs down 53, 61.92. May more active, down 60 at 67.70. Quick look at our pork cutout here at midday. We're getting an update here as well. We started the day mostly lower, but they're coming back a little bit. June, or the carcass, down 67 points here now, Janet, right at 75 1/4.
All right. Thank you very much, Mark. Appreciate that.